Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another MSUFCU Financial Education Seminar Series. We appreciate you all being here with us tonight. These presentations were created with you in mind, with the intention to give financial education on a number of relatable topics to help expand your knowledge of finances. Each event will be hosted by a member of our financial education department or by one of our partners, connecting you with resources in our community. We have a number of diverse presentations planned for you this year, and you can explore and register for them by visiting us at msufcu.org/events. Tonight's event is being recorded. You can also rewatch or share our recorded events by going to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/msufcu, and then you can select the seminar series from those playlist options there. Tonight, you can use the Q&A function within Zoom to submit any questions for our presenter, which we will then address at the end of the presentation. I'll also be putting some other resources in the chat. And if you have any technical difficulties or anything like that, you can go ahead and chat me directly, and I'll help you with that. My name is Therese Bacon, so I'll be your facilitator this evening. I'm with the MSUFCU Financial Education Department, so you may have seen me at other seminar series events or hosting other things in your community. So glad to see you all again tonight. So tonight we have a wonderful guest joining us to present on how to pitch your business. So allow me to introduce our host, Erin Stravinsky, who is a manager of startup education with 20 Fathoms. So I'll pass it over to you, Erin, to tell us about your work with 20 Fathoms, and then we can lead right into your presentation tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Therese. Thank you guys for having me tonight. I'm pretty excited to do this. We give this presentation a lot, and so I'm excited to give it virtually. I've never done that before, so that should be pretty exciting. So if you guys aren't familiar with 20 Fathoms, we're kind of a startup hub here in Northern Michigan. We work with entrepreneurs and small businesses to kind of help them in all aspects of their business, from like starting an LLC to pitching their business. And so what we're going to talk about tonight is pitching and storytelling. And we're focusing on how storytelling can make your pitch more compelling, memorable, and effective, because pitching isn't just to VCs. Like, that's what we normally think of. We think about pitching for funding or pitching for investment, but that's not always what we're pitching. We might be pitching for a co-founder, we might be pitching for a partner, we might be pitching to customers, because essentially an advertisement is just a pitch. So what we're going to hone in on tonight is that people don't just buy into a business, they buy into a story. So I want you to think about some of the most successful companies out there. I have here Airbnb, Tesla, Spanx. Like, what made these pitches stand out wasn't, not, I mean, sure, maybe it was their financials or their product details, but it was also the way they told the story about a problem, a solution, the future that people wanted to be a part of. So we're going to break down how you can craft a pitch that's not just informative, but persuasive. So, and this is going to be, and I'm going to break it down just kind of like what that looks like in each area. So whether it's customers, partners, investors, what a strong narrative might look like. So here we go. All right. So what's my story? So before you can deliver a strong pitch, you need to understand your own story, because there is a reason you started this business. What is the motivation behind it? Like, we want to know your title, we want to know your company, but what motivated you to do this? We all have biases, we all have assumptions about what people know about us, what we know about them. A lot of times in this workshop, we'll ask, like, what are the assumptions you're making about me as I'm standing up here? And what assumptions are you making about my business? Because it's really interesting, because they can affect like how we see someone pitch, like what we're thinking as they pitch, and it can affect how we personally pitch and how we frame our business. So if we assume that the audience already understands us, they understand our product, they understand our problem, we may do it a little differently than we should, right? Like, we may overuse industry jargon, or we may focus on financials when really what people care about is the problem that we're going to solve for them. So we just want to make sure, like, we go into a room and like are able to be agile and a little bit creative with how we tell our story and what that really means to us. So what are the benefits of storytelling? So if I come in here and tell you a story, like, how do I make it relatable? Because people buy and invest in and want to be partners with people they connect with. So a story is a way to make that like emotional connection. So for me personally, like facts don't stick with me, but you tell me a story about your dog and that somehow turns into something that I should buy for my dog. I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure." Like so that's why great pitches are built around a compelling narrative. So I'm going to use Airbnb a lot here just because it's a company we all know. It's a story most of us know. So their early pitch didn't start with revenue projections. They told a story about travelers wanting an affordable place to stay. They didn't want these impersonal hotel cookie cutter experiences. They wanted something weird, something different, something that felt made them feel like a local. And that's what Airbnb was selling. Although they're taking a revenue cut, they were selling the experience. So, as we go through this session, I want you to think about your business, but think about your story. What's the deeper reason behind it? What problem made you take that big leap? And that's what's going to make your pitch powerful. It'll help people remember you and it'll help people make that connection to say, okay, I relate to that. So, I'm going to reiterate this a lot, but you never know who you might be talking to and they don't know you. They don't know who you are. What? Oh, okay. Um, So you could be pitching to an investor, a customer, or even a co-founder. They don't know you. So how do you make an immediate compelling connection? What story can you tell them? And what makes it feel like not a generic pitch that everyone's giving them? If you were stuck in an elevator for 1 minute, what could you tell them about your business that would be compelling? So think about how you pitch to a new tech, like a new tech startup, to a VC or to get investment, or to to a co-founder. Like you would not say the same things. The thing that would matter to the VC would not necessarily matter to to a co-founder. So you have to emphasize and shift your priorities. Why do we pitch? Why does pitching matter? It's not always just about raising money, although that I get that question a lot, like how do I get money? So, I mean, yes, that's important, but also there's everyone you're talking to about your business, you're pitching. So people come in to 20 Fathoms all the time and they tell me about their business and it's kind of a pitch. It's kind of the way that they talk about their business to get me interested in it. What is going to make me interested in this small business's granola? Like, is it the ingredients? Is it the story? Is it why she started? Is it the fact that everything is grown on this farm and that's how they do it? Like, what is the thing that's going to make it stick out to me? And people tell me different things all the time. It's wonderful. But it's about selling an idea. So you're convincing people to believe in what you're building and why it matters. So we call this sometimes reasons to believe. What are the reasons to believe people should invest in your idea? So for instance, like if we're taking different audiences, what are the goals? So an investor, they want to see growth and potential and return on investment, but they also want to see growth potential in their founder, not necessarily in the amount of money the business can make, but like how willing the founder is to pivot, how willing they are to go a different way if something isn't working. If you're pitching to a customer, how are you going to solve their problem? That's what they care about. They have this pain point. How are you going to fix it? Partners, they want to see that you guys there's mutual benefit there. There's something there that like, hey, we're on the same page. We both care about this. This works for us. And then future employees, like, how do you get your first employee? You have to pitch them on this idea. You have to make them believe and be inspired by your mission. So this got me thinking of Steve Jobs. I know Apple, sure. But when the iPod first came out, this is how old I am. When the iPod first came out, the tagline was keeping 1,000 songs in your pocket. So it wasn't selling like this device, like this is cool new technology. It was saying you can take your music with you and you can take 1,000 songs with you. You don't have to carry your Discman. You don't have to take all these things. You take this small thing and you have 1,000 songs in your pocket. So for some reason, that's always stuck with me. But it's like, how do we get people to make a deeper connection with us, um, to really show that we're just solving a problem that maybe they didn't even know that they had. So different audiences, like I just said, require different pitches. So I'm gonna use Airbnb again because the same pitch won't work for everyone. So how would you tweak your pitch depending on who you're talking to? So we kind of went over that in the last slide. So I'm just gonna go into this example. So Airbnb to investors. So Airbnb is transforming a 600 billion global travel industry by unlocking underutilized housing spaces. We connect travelers with unique, cost-effective stays while providing homeowners a new income stream. So that's a two-sided marketplace. They're providing value to investors by saying, look, we're getting we have two customers and they're both connecting with us and we can make them money and they can make us money. Here we go. But that's not what they're going to say to customers. Customers don't care about that. What problem are we solving for the customer? Hotels are expensive, they're impersonal. You can stay in someone's real home, hosted by real people that live there that have, well, used to be real people that live there. And so you get to wake up in this cozy Parisian apartment or at a beach on a beach side. Like it was a whole different way to think about staying somewhere. And now it's just a thing that we do all the time. So if think about any time you've had to pitch unexpectedly, whether yourself for a job interview that you didn't know you were having, or if you're in an elevator stuck with somebody, or maybe at a networking event where you're talking about what you do, because we're pitching all the time. It's just not necessarily called that. It's called networking, but essentially we're pitching ourselves and think about like how you pitch yourself, how you pitch your business. It's all a story. So as we go back, you're not just pitching, you're telling a story. I'm going to keep reiterating this over and over because people want to hear a story. They invest in people they believe in. You see founders all the time that like don't necessarily know all their financials, but you see what they're doing and you see what they're building and you say, okay, this is solving a real need. I see it. I see the traction you're getting. Here we go. So the elements of a strong pitch story are a problem, a solution, and the vision. So I'm gonna take another example out of my toolkit here. And Spanx founder Sarah Blakely, everyone knows Spanx. She started this by cutting the feet off her pantyhose and putting them under white pants because she didn't have something to wear. And then she was like, this is something, I'm going to do it. And no one would work with her. And so she spent 2 years going into stores and talking to customers and talking to the like management to see what she could do to get this in stores and eventually pitched Neiman Marcus. And she wasn't creating shapewear for women, although yes, that's technically what she was doing. She was helping build women's confidence. When they put clothes on in the morning, they got to walk out and feel confident in their body and themselves. So the takeaway here is to build the pitch around a compelling narrative. And if you want to hear some cool founder stories, I recommend listening to How I Built This. Stories about companies all over, and they talk to the founders, and it's just a really cool way to hear how people have pitched, how they've failed, how they've done different things, but just something to keep in mind. All right, so stories move us. This is an old Airbnb capture, like screen capture. Like, look at what it used to be. But stories move us. Like, it wasn't necessarily just about rentals. It was about authentic experiences and like staying in these weird places that you wouldn't necessarily be able to stay in a hotel because they can only be in certain areas. So why this matters is people remember stories more than facts. So you need to make people feel something. Either, yes, this is a pain point for me, or oh my gosh, that's what I really want to do. Like bring it to life. And so here we have stories that move us. You sell, convince people you can deliver, you motivate, make people take a leap of faith. Convince, you're backed by research, evidence, take a walk in someone else's shoes, connect with them, bring your strategy to life, and impress. Deliver simple things without jargon. You don't need it. So now, so I'm telling you to tell a story. So now we're going to kind of get into the fundamentals of a pitch deck. And so we really kind of go by Guy Kawasaki's 10 slides. And the reason for this is because an early pitch deck especially should be simple. It should have 10 slides, unless there's purposeful slides that explain something that need to be in there. 10 slides, your pitch should be 5 minutes. Short, to the point, sweet, it's great. 30-point font, because no one has time to read the 12-point font explanation of things. They want to hear your voice. They want to hear you. They want to listen to what you're saying, because if people are trying to read your slide, they're not listening to you. So we want pitches to support auditory and visual learning, amplify what you're saying. So take the key points of your speech and really, those are what go on the slide. Be prepared for the worst and know your audience. So can you give your pitch without slides? What if the technology doesn't work? Can you do that? And knowing your audience is, who am I pitching to? And if it's a room full of a bunch of different people, well then you just, when you take questions afterwards, you better know your stuff. So the 10 slide format plus an exit slide, what does that look like? So I am going to be going through what each slide looks like and then kind of giving an example slide. And I use Airbnb's pitch deck throughout so it remains consistent, but like this isn't necessarily the perfect example of a perfect deck. It's actually a pretty rudimentary deck, but like just a way for us to see what somebody pitched and how they received funding back in, I don't know, 2009. So title slide, introduction. Who are you? Introduce yourself, have your company name, your logo, your tagline or mission. Like the beginning slide is going to say a lot about you and it's going to stay up there. So here's Airbnbs. I mean, book rooms with locals rather than hotels. It tells you right away what it does. They've got their logo on there and they've got a beautiful picture of a boat, right? So to say like this is good, we're going to take you away to somewhere new. This is the part, the problem opportunity is really where you want to know exactly what problem you're solving. Um, and how does your customer solve the problem today? Like, oh, you stay in these boring hotels? That stinks. Like, you could be staying in this world-class treehouse in the middle of the woods. And use real-world examples or statistics to show the significance of the problem. So, we tell people this all the time. As you do customer discovery and as you're starting out and you're putting together this business idea, you really have to start where the problem is. Like, are you solving a problem and who are you solving it for? And that should be shown throughout your presentation that you are solving a real problem that people experience. So here's Airbnb. Price is an important concern. Hotels leave you disconnected, and no easy way exists to book a room with a local or become a host. People use Craigslist, which now we're like, oh, that's ridiculous. But at the time, it was the only way to put things out there. So honestly, that's how Airbnb started, and that was their MVP was putting a room on Craigslist and seeing if people were interested in it, and they were. So always test your idea, but always stay rooted into what the problem actually is that you're solving. And next is the value proposition, the solution. So explain how you solve the problem. Show your audience that your solution is the answer. And what do you know that no one else knows? And really like, what is your unique advantage? What can you bring to this problem that no one else is bringing? And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be a small tweak to a problem that exists. Like there was shapewear when Sarah Blakely started Spanx, but nothing that solve the exact problem that she was looking for, which was to feel confident in her clothes. Nothing got her all the way there, so she solved a small problem. The iPod, like we had Discmen, we carried them around with us. I did, and this was just a way to make it smaller and easier, and you could carry many more songs with you. So it's just it doesn't always have to be this giant. You're not changing the landscape necessarily. You're making one small tweak to say, I'm solving this problem better by doing this. So the solution for Airbnb, a web platform where users can rent out their space and host travelers to save money when traveling. But the solution could also be to make money on the side if you rent out a room in your house. Like if you need extra money because you're living in the Bay Area and you can't afford your apartment, like that's another solution. So in this case, they're pitching to investors and they're saying this is the solution. But for customers, the solution was I can make more money by renting out my space. I can save money and stay in a really cool apartment. Two cool things. So the fourth slide in this 10 deck thing is market opportunity. And what is market opportunity? So defining your target market, so the market size, growth potential, segmentation. So it's not just knowing your customer, it's digging into how many people exist that I can target with this and what is an actual reasonable goal to say how many customers can I actually get and showing that there's a significant opportunity. So we see these slides all the time and it sometimes feels like pie in the sky, like are we really going to get this many customers? But it's a way to show that this many exist in the market and we can target this number of customers. So in this, they show that there's 660 listings on temporary housing sites and 50,000 temporary housing listings in New York City and in San Francisco on Craigslist. So it shows that there's a real opportunity in a week to hit some of these customers with Airbnb. So then they go into their market size. The total available, you've probably heard the TAM, SAM, SUM, but total available market, available market, and the market share that you get. So huge market, $2 billion travel market. Budget and online trips is a $560 million market, and the trips with Airbnb is an $84 million market. Are they going to get all of that? Maybe, but this is just showing like, yes, we're not taking the whole thing. We're going to take a bite size out of it, and this is our market share, and this is who we're going after. Business model. People want to know how you're going to make money. You got to make money. For investors to invest in you, for people to believe in you, you have to make money at some point. How will you make money? What are your revenue streams? How are you charging people? Is it subscription based? Are you charging a full, like a blanket cost? Like, what does that look like? And what is the price? So Airbnb's business model, this is really simplified, but we take 10% of each transaction. So, and they show it broken down. So if you book $10.6 million with Airbnb and $20 is the average free fee, by 2011, there'll be a $2.1 million in revenue. So it's just to show that you've thought about the financials. And as you get further along in the investment process or in the funding process, they'll want to see more of those financials. But this is just a big picture way to show, like, I've thought about my business model. I've thought about where my revenue model can take me, and really sitting down and getting comfortable with those numbers, because this is the uncomfortable part. It's like knowing where and how and why you're going to make money, and being able to articulate that in a way where people believe you, and they can see that that's actually a reasonable number. All right. And what's my go-to-market strategy? Who is your target market? How are you going to reach them? Do you have a unique way to acquire customers? So what does that mean? Like, what is my go-to-market strategy? So I say this all the time, like everyone's go-to-market strategy is going to be a little different. We're not all going to post on Instagram and get 100 million followers and make a ton of money, right? For a granola company that's in Traverse City, for instance, she's going to be at the farmer's market. That's going to be her go-to-market strategy at the beginning, like getting early customers at the farmer's market. And one of my favorite stories is this Harmony Freeze Pops up here in Traverse City. They came to the farmer's market with this tiny little cooler full of popsicles, and they were just out there with a big rainbow flag and this popsicle stand, and it was small, but my kids immediately were like, popsicles, and ran to it, and there was a line for it throughout the farmer's market. And it was a small way to start testing this idea, like, will people actually buy these $10 popsicles? Turns out, yes, people will buy these $10 popsicles made from all natural ingredients. But they also found a wholesale buyer at the farmer's market, and all of a sudden had capital to go and box up the popsicles, and now they're sold at every grocer and retailer around here. So just a really cool way. Like, it doesn't have to be a big go-to-market strategy, but how are you going to reach the people that really want what you're selling? So for Airbnb, it was events. Like, oh, you're traveling to Oktoberfest? Like, stay at a really cool place near where everything's happening. Oh, you're gonna go to Lollapalooza in Chicago? Stay at a really cool downtown apartment where you can see Grant Park from the windows. Like, just, it was a really great way for them to get market adoption really fast, because events bring a lot of people into cities, and a lot of times hotels sell out, things like that. So Airbnb had a really interesting way to get in there. And then a Craigslist dual posting feature. Like, this is how we're going to get some of those people off Craigslist. Instead of posting on Craigslist, post on this platform that you can trust, that people know, and the transaction's a lot easier. What's next? 7, competitive analysis. So remember when we talked about your value proposition and your unique advantage? Create a comparison table. Show me the competitors. I want to know who they are. Like, be transparent about it. Show me who you're competing with, either comparators, like people in the same market as you, like hotels were Airbnb's comparator, right? Not necessarily, I mean, they are a competitor, but they're not the same. VRBO is more a competitor. Showcase how you're different, highlight the gaps and opportunities within the market, because this shows it just highlights your unfair and unique advantage. So I'm not particularly fond of this slide, but it's what they put out there. So it shows just like where all these competitors fall on the affordable to expensive scale, and like whether you can do this offline or can you do it online. So, and they show themselves in a very great light, but sometimes it's like, hey, I have all these features in my app and no other app has these features. So it's showing like side by side comparisons of like all the other apps that you could download and showing that yours has check marks across the board. Whatever that looks like, just showing that you have what everybody else doesn't have. And that leads me into something everybody else doesn't have, which is team and talent. So it might be just you at first, but you might have advisors, you might have board members, you might have interns or people that are helping you or a friend on the side that's like brilliant and they're helping you launch this big business idea. Highlight their experience, highlight their expertise and what value they bring to your startup because you don't know everything yet and probably never will. That's why you hire a team. That's why you hire a board of advisors and board members and all these things so that as you're building this business, you're not doing it alone and you don't have to be the subject matter expert of all the things. So this is a team slide. We all know Brian Chesky. These are the three guys that started Airbnb, and they all have different expertise, right? Like user interface, business development, developer. So it runs a gamut of like, we have all these things, we have all these strengths. This is why our team's going to be awesome because we can do all the things. And that leads me to financial projections and key metrics. So we talked about your go-to-market strategy and we talked about like what your market potential, like how much you can make. But this is going deep, like I said, we're gonna have to go deeper into it. This is going deeper into it. So providing a financial forecast, revenue projections, expenses, and a break-even point. And if you're raising money, why are you raising money? What is that money going to get you? So this slide I like on Airbnb because they're asking for 500K. And that's what they're wanting. And why are they trying to do that? To reach 80,000 transactions, to make 2 million in revenue over 12 months. So I can clearly see what they're asking for, why it's important, and what's going to happen on the other end. So as an investor, that's great. As a customer, I'm not going to care about this, but Airbnb probably wouldn't show a customer this slide. That's not what they're looking for when they're looking for customers. But just like showing traction and how you're going to make sales and what that's going to look like from a finances point of view. And then the 10th slide is your current status and accomplishments. Why now? What is the compelling reason to act at this very moment? Why should we invest in your business? And you can showcase traction or milestones. Have you gotten PR? Have you made 100 sales? Have you reached a certain amount in revenue that was like, I'm never going to reach this and I've reached it? Have you done something else that have you been recognized by a partner that has given you so much traction in the marketplace? Whatever that looks like, brag. Show that you've done something in this space, and that's why people should do it. Like, why should they believe in you now? So this again, not my favorite slide, but it just shows that like all these places are talking about Airbnb, they're getting some PR, they're getting some press, and this helps people see that, well, people actually are using this platform and they're talking about it. That's pretty cool. And then you leave them with a strong exit. So, share contact information, website, leave an impression, and provide a CTA. Like, hey, download our app. Hey, contact us to. One of my favorite examples of this is Vetter Health, which is out of Grand Rapids. She pitched here in Traverse City, and at the end, she brought her dog on stage, which was amazing. And the second thing she did was at the end, she had a QR code, and she was like, if you want to see us in Traverse City, click on this QR code, and it will let us know that you want us up here in Traverse City. And so it gives her customer discovery, knowing, hey, people actually want me up here. Maybe that could be my next market. And indeed, their Vetter Health there's one of their next locations is going to be Northern Michigan, which is really awesome. All right. So as we critique pitches, what do we look for? At 20 Fathoms, we see pitches all the time. We make people get up and pitch. We have pitch competitions, TC New Tech. And And we just encourage people to do it all the time. Like the more you do it, like I hate standing up in front of people, and now I do it every week. And you get just more comfortable talking about things as you do it. So pitch to your grandma, pitch to your kids, pitch to your dog, pitch out loud, pitch to your friends, pitch to people in a coffee shop. Like start talking about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you'll find those little niche things, the little storytelling bits that capture people's attention. So what are we looking for? Is the problem clearly defined? Have I said that enough yet? Problem clearly defined. Is there a unique value proposition? Is the business model viable? Is it scalable? Is this the right team to execute? What is there anything missing? Are there people missing? Are there subject matters missing? Like, how are you solving for this? We want to know that. And do I leave wanting to know more about it? Like, did you capture my attention enough to get me to ask questions? So, I also like, what is the most compelling part? Does it have a strong emotional hook? What pulls me in about it? And if I'm sitting there and I'm like, would I invest in this idea? And the answer is yes, like, okay, like let's I want to learn more. What's next? So as you are thinking about your business and thinking about this idea, draft your slides. Um, Teresa's going to send you, we have like a 10 slide like skeleton deck that you can kind of fill in, and it gives you prompts to say like, oh, here's what needs to go on this slide. And it doesn't have to be perfectly in this format or perfectly in this order, but it just helps you start thinking about, okay, here are the things I could put on a slide. Practice a lot, pitch to everyone. Already said that. Record yourself. It's so awkward, but you can record yourself and like look back and say, okay, I fumbled there. Like my body language is weird here. Oh, I said that thing. I shouldn't say that. That sounds weird. Look for pitch coaching. We do it at 20 Fathoms. People come in and pitch to us. And it's really fun, and it's just helpful to get feedback, even from like, even if you pitch in front of a room of people, other entrepreneurs, they say, oh, well, that didn't make sense to me. And then I'm not giving enough information. I can be much more clear here. And sign up for a pitch event. There's pitch events all over the state. Um, in every city, I see them pop up all over the place. And I think we have a list of them somewhere, but I'll have to figure that out. But we have them somewhere. Um, and manage feedback. Listen and be receptive. Be prepared for a little whiplash. People will give you different feedback depending on who they are and depending on what they want to know from you. So just know your stuff. Know your pitch inside and out in order to just really be able to answer questions and keep people engaged. Keep pitching. Listen to your instincts. If it feels weird, it's probably weird and people won't connect with it. Get clear and confident. Be confident in your pitch. I mean it. Just pitch all the time and get comfortable talking in front of people, because if you care about your idea enough, and if there's enough of an emotional component there and a compelling story, people will care. And it may not be everyone. I hope it's not everyone, but there will be that select group of customers that it's like, okay, this really matters to me. Um, okay. And then thanks guys. That's my presentation. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I'm sorry if I talked really fast. I tend to do that when I get nervous, but really appreciate you all being here. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we had a couple come through. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
That was so great. And I do the same thing. I get talking fast when I'm excited about something, but you're just passionate about it. So that's good, right?
Yeah.
No, that was really good. That was a great explanation. And I'm not a small business owner right now or anything like that, but like these things always inspire me. And hey,
Make you
everyone's
want to start your own business,
right.
right?
Everyone's looking for a side hustle these days. So this is good stuff to know. And one of my favorite shows is Shark Tank. So I mean, I am
Oh,
kind of into it. I like to watch other people do
you
it.
should go watch. Everyone should watch pitches on Shark Tank. They're fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So a couple of the questions here. So, oh yeah, let me get this one from the audience member here. So, she said, "How would you pitch an adult foster care home?" Okay.
Adult foster care home. Um, Well, that's really interesting. So adult foster care, like taking care of like older adults,
Yeah, I think so. Like in like where maybe she owns her own home that is going to house
and you would take care
older.
of like adults that maybe have disabilities or need help. Um, I'm thinking there is a nonprofit here in TC that's opening up a house for them, and they're pitching it by saying, I think you just lean into the caregiving aspect and like I don't know exactly what your business is, but what is the emotional thing that you can pull on to say this is necessary? Like it creates community, it creates a space for people to be
Mhm.
safe and leaning into that emotional side of it. But I'd like to know more if we could talk more, but I don't know how I would pitch that necessarily without more information. But
Yeah, she said for
delightful.
seniors, disability and mental illness is what her home is kind of
Yeah,
focused on.
so
So yeah.
so it seems like your customer might be the people that are needing that care. So, hey, we can help you. Hey, um, we can take some of this off your plate. We can look after these people for you. We can give them care. Like this is what we do best. Like we're all licensed for it. Like how do you pull on those specific, what is the need of the customer that's going to be putting or needing a foster care for their disabled or elderly person? It's kind of similar to a nursing home, right? Like what can you offer that provides peace of mind is the biggest one
Mhm.
for me, like peace of mind for these people that are making this decision to know that this is the right choice for them.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I know like I mean, we had to find someplace for my father-in-law to live at one point, and definitely like just yeah, all the things that one place could offer, or the activities, or like specialized care, or all that kind of stuff, is what kind of drew us into different places, and just meeting the owner and seeing what their whole vibe was like, that was huge.
Yeah. So like,
So definitely, yeah.
yeah, and like just talk to people, like go into
Hmm.
nursing homes and talk to the people and see what sets them apart, or go and talk to people that have um, elderly parents and just be like, hey,
Yeah.
what would make you make a choice to do this? Or like what worries you about your, like ask them open-ended questions to see what worries them, what they're nervous about for
Hmm.
their aging parent or disabled parent, whatever that looks like.
Right. So
Yeah,
really putting the time into almost doing your own little case studies while you're
exactly.
figuring out your customer base, and
I
yeah,
will tell
yeah,
you, talk to
definitely.
customers all the time because your pitch will change over time.
Hmm.
So always be
Yeah,
talking to your customers.
yeah. All right, and then we had another question here. What do you see most often as the needs here in Michigan? Also, what are the most common mistakes you see in the pitch?
Oh, what needs do I see in Michigan, like from a business perspective?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what she was kind of getting at.
Oh, well, I'm up here in TC and we see a lot of things, but businesses in Michigan, I don't know.
Or maybe the customer needs. Maybe that's what she was thinking of more.
Customer needs.
Like
Um, yeah, I mean,
I guess it's
so
probably all over the board, but yeah.
it's all over the board, but like up here especially is like there's a ton of makers up here and them being able
Mhm.
to have great product photography and like great things that like support them because as a maker you're like we have so many small teeny businesses up here that like um a sense of community and connection has always been like a thing people need like in the same space. So like connecting with other people that do the same thing that you do and being able to like, hey, we're all going to pitch in on this photographer to all get our our products photographed. Like that that I think is just a recency one, but I've heard it a lot lately. Um,
Mhm.
and I think the other thing I've been hearing a lot is how do I market my business? Like it's just there's such a wide breadth of like here's how we can market things lately. And it's what channel do I pick? How do I do this? Do I
Mhm.
have to be on social media? And it's like, no, but it's also just like, how do you do that? And I think and these are just all from like small businesses that that's like my customers. So like that's what I'm most resonating with, but it's just
Mhm.
how do I find the resources that I need and subject
Yeah.
matter experts that I need to get my business off the ground. But I know that's probably not what you're asking, but that's where my brain's at. So
But yeah, pretty much you have to get out there and network with
yeah,
everyone and anyone and everyone that you can, because you never know what you're going to find once you're out there having a conversation with someone, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
And what was the second question there?
What are the most common mistakes you see in a pitch?
Um, so I think the biggest mistakes I see are people getting so you're building something and you're super psyched about it. And so you want to tell people all about it, all about the features, all about the technology or whatever that is, the things that you do. And that's great. And it's important for people to know that. But like people get so hung up on that that they forget that they're talking to people that want to know what the problem is. And I keep saying this over and over, but like, what problem are you solving? Like, and how are you solving it? No one cares that you used all these technical details to make this app or to make the thing that you wanted to make. They care about you're going to save them 10 hours a week or you're going to save them $50 a transaction because you're doing these things. So it's like really honing in on like that problem and the solution that that you're solving. We see pitches all the time and we tell people like no one cares about all the bells and whistles. That's later when you're really needing people to like look at the technology or look at the features of your business or all the little products that you sell. It's awesome, but like what problem are you solving? So
Yeah.
that's the biggest one I see.
Yeah.
And it
All
makes
right. And oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, it just makes sense that that's it because you're just people. I get excited. Like if I want to do something, like I get excited about all the details of it, and my husband's always like, "But why do I care?" I'm just like, "Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah. So you gotta make them care, right? You gotta,
Make me care.
yeah, yes. Okay. And then let's see. So I know you talked about Airbnb, but are there any other like pitches that you've ever seen that were just awesome and like why do you think they worked?
So I'm gonna go back to a local one, and then I'll talk about another one. But Vetter Health, which is like they're basically making vet care mobile, and so she told a story about this cat that this old woman could not get to the vet, and she carried it through the whole pitch. Like, this is where they were. They couldn't get to the vet. The cat was really sick. They were worried it was going to die. And like at the end, they used Better Health and they were able to come to her house and take care of this cat. And they set up like more scheduled care. So this elderly person didn't have to get leave the house to go take care of her cat. And it was just this arc moment of like being like, okay, like this is solving a real need. This is solving a problem. Like, would I use it? Absolutely. Like my dogs hate going to the vet. Would I want them to come to my house? Yeah. And that was like part of it. The cat had a lot of anxiety. So it was carried throughout the presentation, which was awesome. And it just made me remember it. Um, what is another one? What is the one I shared with you that I liked? DoorDash, I think was one that I liked. And what I liked about it is they pitched it Y Combinator. It wasn't like the most amazing pitch, but they were really good at capturing like what the competition was doing and what they weren't and saying DoorDash is going to bring you food no matter where it's from. It doesn't have to just be Domino's Pizza. It can be from any restaurant. And you can get food whenever you want from wherever you want even if you're in a rural community, which we live in a rural community up here, but
Mhm.
it was so interesting because it wasn't like we'll get there fast. I mean, they did say that they'll get there fast, but the part that stood out to me was like you can get food from anywhere now. It doesn't just have to be this one thing, and you don't have to live in a city to get it, which was just it was just a cool pitch. And I
Mhm.
think I shared it with Therese, so she can share that with you
Yeah,
guys.
I'll send a link. I'll send
Okay.
a couple links also when I send that follow-up email tomorrow morning to everyone that's joined tonight. There's a couple links in there with different pitches, and I'll send that deck template also, so you guys all have that. And then last question here. If I'm pitching and realize I'm losing my audience, what should I do in that moment to recover?
Oh my gosh, this is like the thing that I get nervous about all the time. So, I mean, you'll notice you'll see people like looking around, they're talking, they're on their phone. You're just like, "Oh no. Like what did I do?" So, it's just in the moment, if you're looking and you're seeing people not paying attention, you kind of have to shift gears. So, I intentionally like left all like there's no faces up here so I could see Therese nodding and I was like, "Okay, I've still got her attention. This is great." So, it's like taking audience cues and knowing and then if you're not and people are not paying attention, ask a question, change the subject, like have them think about something or make them like ask a really deep question like have you ever been attacked by a zombie before or something like that, not that, but something that has to do with your pitch, but something that gets them thinking and saying, "Oh, what did they just ask? Because then you have the chance to bring them back to the room. Um, and it maybe you're too deep in the weeds and you need to zoom out a little bit. But just keep reiterating why this is an exciting idea. But always take audience cues. If people are nodding at you and they're looking at you, great. If they're not, start pivoting and start asking questions to the room just to see what brings them back.
Yeah. I've also noticed in a lot of like partnerships with pitches that I've seen, probably like on Shark Tank when I've been watching. But sometimes there's like the one brilliant person that comes up with this great idea that is going to solve the problem, but they're a little
Yep.
less of a people person, so
Oh yeah.
they find a partner that is that person.
Yeah.
So that person kind of steps up and takes that role and can actually grab and keep people's attention to explain the great idea that the creator actually came up with, So
Yes, I
that's
love
always
that.
good. Have a mentor or something that is, if you're not that person that wants to get up there or that gets a little nervous, find somebody that can help you with that.
Yes,
Yeah, for
100%.
sure. That's awesome. All right, cool. Well, I think that wraps up our Q&A from everyone. So once again, I just wanted to thank you, Erin, for being with us. This was so great, and I hope we can have you back again in the future. I know you guys are located in Traverse City, but do you assist people virtually that are all over the state, or how does that work with 20
So
Fathoms?
we surely can. Like mostly we serve the 10 county region up here in Northwest Lower Michigan, but
Okay.
we take questions from all over. And we had a guy attend boot camp last week from Macomb County. Like we will help anyone.
Hmm.
And if we can't help you, we'll point you to your smart zone and we have
Yeah.
connections with everyone in the state. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
and
so many great companies out there that are doing this kind
yes.
of work. So
So if you
yeah,
have questions and you just don't know who to ask and you know me, send them to me and I will find the right person
yeah,
for you or help you if we can. But yeah,
sounds good.
yeah.
Yeah, I did put the link to 20 Fathoms website in the chat for everyone, so you can check them out. There's also a contact form or a phone number if you do want to reach out to them directly. So feel free to do that. So once again, thanks for being here, Erin. Thank you everyone for joining and asking such great questions and being engaged tonight. Really appreciate it. I did want to mention that we have some other webinars coming up that I just wanted to let everyone know about. So they're a little more retirement focused, so a little pivot here in topic for these next two webinars. But we have a webinar, Maximizing Women's Social Security in Retirement, and that's Tuesday, March 11th at 11 a.m. So that's a daytime one. And then if you're in the greater Lansing area, you can join us at our Farm Lane branch on Tuesday, March 18th for 3 transitions to retirement. So if you or anyone might be interested in those, go ahead and forward on that information to them. We'd love to see you all there. When you close out of the Zoom tonight, there will be a short survey that pops up. So please take that. We like to get your feedback on our presenter, on our topics that we're talking about, maybe any ideas on future topics that you want to hear from seminar series. We're always looking for that feedback. So with that, we can wrap everything up. But thanks again for joining us, everyone. And a big thanks to you, Erin. And hopefully we can see you back again.
Thank you, Teresa. This was so much fun. Thanks again.
Yes. All right. Have a good night, everyone.